Hi guys, it's Amy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 8 of Vlogmas. Oh my god, I can't keep up. December's going by so fast. So today we're going to talk about my budget setup in my Budget by Paycheck workbook for December. So this is the last month that I'm going to be using this particular one. That's why you don't see it in my tool like hardcover. I swapped out the disc to the plastic ones and put it on a different coil so I could start getting the 2022 Budget by Paycheck workbook set up, and we'll talk about that in another video. We'll also go through all the annual pages for 2021 and kind of some of my insights after doing this for a full year. I did it last year for like part of the year. So I didn't have a full year before this. So we'll walk through kind of my full year and kind of talk about some of how I've done with my savings and debt payoff and everything since using this for a full year. So before we jump into the budget setup, let's take a look at the day 8 items in my advent calendars. So we'll start with the sticker advent. So day 8. I'm loving these little envelopes. They're so cute. I'm also loving what's in them too, but... Oh, these are awesome. So these are like little tabs or little stickers to add like different things too. You could definitely use them like a tab. You could double them up and put one on the front and one on the back with different things on them. So those I'll definitely use. In my December daily. That's most of this stuff, if I don't use it all, like I said, I'm going to save it for next year as well. All right, so let's jump in and look at the fruit spreads calendar for day 8. I'd found day 8 originally. Oh, here it is. It's right in the middle, and the 8 is like in a weird spot. It's like right over some green, so it's kind of hard to read. So I had found it earlier. Oh my goodness, that's cardboard. Wild blueberry balm leaves spread. What? Balm leaves spread. Okay, so wild blueberries, sugar, brown cane sugar, balm leaves extract. Okay, I'm not sure what balm leaves are, and I'm not sure how they taste, but I like blueberries, so maybe it'll be pretty good. And the little door says, spread joy wherever you go. Spread joy wherever you go. I'll learn how to talk at some point. So that is the advents for day 8. So let's jump into looking at the budget for December. All right, so let's take a look at my December budget, and we're going to talk about a couple other things too. So I closed out November. Kind of. I didn't fill in this sheet, but I filled in all the others. And like I said, so this year I haven't really had like a true, how do I want to word it, budget. So I was more using this to kind of analyze where I am with everything. So like I didn't set like an actual budget, like a monthly budget and a monthly spend. So I need to do that for 2022. So I went through and actually made a spreadsheet so that I could kind of do some calculations. But I went through my worksheet in the front that lists out all of the categories and the months. So this spreadsheet, or this spread here, so you can put your expense categories down and then you can list out how much you spent every month. It also has a place to put your income. So for 2022, I need to set like actual numbers because my numbers are kind of all over the place. So I actually put all the numbers I had up through November, and then I added for December, I used last year's numbers because when I started looking back, I started using the system in April, but then I was very spotty with filling out the pages from April, May, June, and July, I think. I think July was better, but these other months, these other like 3 months, because I was trying to like figure out the system and how things worked, I had very spotty numbers. So once I had a more consistent I had a better understanding of how it worked, then I filled out more of the pages, and I filled out more as I went through. So someone asked me about this the other day, and I told him, I said, when you start this seems really overwhelming. So just use the calendar and write down your bill trackers and track your expenses. Don't even worry about these pages at the beginning. Get a handle on where you're at. And then as you get better with the system, you can fill out more and more of the where did my money go worksheets. That's how I would do it. That's how I started. So I kind of started filling in on the spreadsheet. I went back and pulled 2020 and started filling in some of those dates and those numbers. And then when I got to 2021, I had all these numbers so I can go in and figure out an actual amount for a budget. So the other thing I did when I was looking at that, I did an average of all the numbers, and then I also did an average without the high point. So on some, like in some months, where is it at? Like in October, I had some extra cash, so I paid more to debt. You can see the difference in how much I would normally pay and then the October amount. The other thing is like in June, I paid a lot more here because I was changing insurance companies. And then the home category, I paid a lot in August. I also paid quite a bit in April because there was a couple of home projects. And in April, I got my bonus and my tax return. And then in August, I paid more because I purchased some things and had some extra cash when I did that. So that's why you can tell with my income was super high. I spent more in certain categories, and there's a reason for that. So I eliminated the outlier to look at the average without the high point. So I had two averages to kind of look at. And that would give me a better idea of what my budget numbers should be for 2022. So this is where I'm at with my yearly overview. I have one more month to fill in, which I may fill in December, like after, like halfway, like once I get to like the 15th, I may go ahead and fill in some numbers to kind of see where I am. And then, if they're way different than what's on the spreadsheet, then I can adjust, based on what I spent in 2020. But this gives me a good idea of how I'm doing so far. So that is one thing that I'm working on. And I'll have another video going over like my final thoughts about 2021. So let's jump over to December. So I've got my calendar here. So some of these are in the last paycheck. So I get paid tomorrow. So I left the last paycheck in November and closed everything on the November budget up through, let's see, where did I kind of stop? I kind of stopped with transactions that happened on the 6th. So I went ahead and closed out November that way. If there's something that comes in that is different, maybe like one or two things, then I'll just put it in the December, the first part of the December transactions. But so what I've got for this paycheck is not a lot. Mortgage, Tesla, Peloton, AT&T, there's two separate ones, Affirm, Travelers, and this Bull City is my medical payments that I had. So you can see here what I had budgeted and what I have budget for my income. And like I said, because I was not giving these, how do I word this?
like actual budget numbers for categories that I had in spending, like the mortgage and Tesla and Affirm and both, they're all debt. So I didn't have like an overall debt number. So I will next year, and have a better handle on what I need to do for like that kind of thing. So then the other thing I'll have next year is envelopes, sinking funds, and then the extras. And I can break down some things. There's some things that I'm going to leave cashless, and there's some things that I'm going to do as cash because it keeps me on track. So then the second paycheck for December is on the 23rd. And that paycheck will cover up through, I think the next one is like January. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the next one's January 6th. So the 23rd will cover all of December and then through the 6th. So what I think I am going to do is cut it off on the 31st so that I don't have to have both books. I'm going to like close December on 31st and start recording everything in January. So I may not have a paycheck like budget sheet until the 6th, but I'll take any transactions that happen that post after the 31st will get recorded in my new book. So that's how I'm going to do that. I also know that there's some student loans that are coming up that will be done in January. So I did add some things to my debt tracker here. I have some stuff on PayPal, but currently everything's a 0% interest rate. It's stuff that I purchased like $100 and I'm paying those off before they're due, so I don't have to pay an interest rate on those. So when I fill in the debts, I'll fill in that should be paid off like normal. And I was looking at some of my balances from November, and I think some of these that are lower, like this one, the medical and the Affirm, even though they're 0% interest, I may try to go ahead and pay those off quickly so that I can get them off my list. Just so that, I mean, these are small. They're small numbers, but if I can go ahead and get them paid off, it's one less thing I have to like keep track of, if that makes sense. And then I can start throwing more at some of these others. Like this one, I want to get paid off because the interest rate is so high. It's the highest one on here. So I want to get that one paid off so that I can get rid of this personal loan, and that gains me back like $200 a month. So if I can get this one and this one paid off, I can throw that money into this and get it paid off quicker. So that's kind of my plan, I think. I'm still working on the 2022 setup. And I also have another, so Navient is my undergraduate degree. The degree that I got from WGU, that is not on here because I haven't had to pay it back yet. For some reason, Navient is making me pay, which is fine. I can afford it. And I'd rather go ahead and pay it now while the interest is not accruing on it, and because this whole thing just about is going to the premium. There was a little bit of interest left that from previous, before everything went wacky with student loans. So I'd say like 99.9% of this is going to the principal. So that's fine. So I'd like to keep it that way. And then I've actually got the IRS on here. You see that? So I messed up. Well, yeah, I messed up because I didn't give it to my tax person because I forgot about it completely and didn't even think about it anymore. But in 2019, we didn't do my return right, so I have to pay for some stuff that we missed on my return. So that's on here. I'll also have North Carolina to pay back as well, but that one's a lot lower. So that's another reason I want to get some of this smaller stuff off so that I can get some of these other things, because this interest rate's kind of high and the one for North Carolina will be kind of high, but I'm going to put all of that on 2022 to get a better picture for that one. So this is what I've got so far for December. Like I said, I haven't gotten paid yet. So when I get paid, I will sit down and fill out the first one. And really all I'm worried with is bills. The rest of this stuff will kind of get added next year. I just kind of gave up a little bit on filling all this out because it didn't make sense if I wasn't. The only sinking funds I had was Christmas. I've obviously stopped saving for Christmas and I'm using what I had saved. The other envelopes, I didn't really have an envelope for the other stuff. But like I said, I'll go through that in the 2022 setup to show how I'm going to be, what's going to be in envelopes, what will be in sinking funds. And then I'll have my paycheck on the 23rd. And then I'll close out this book on the 31st so that I can move into the new book. So I have the debt payment plan kind of started with the stuff I could fill in. I have the net worth tracker. Hopefully this ESOP will go away pretty early next year. I think that's like the payout date because they waited to like pay it out. So I'm hoping this will get rolled into one of these others and I'll have one less line, but this will like roll into something else. And then I'm hoping that once it rolls into that, maybe I can roll these two into one. I don't like having so many different places. All of these are kind of in the same system, but I'd rather just have one account than 4 accounts, if that makes sense. It's just easier to keep up with. And then the liabilities, I just went ahead and listed out all the stuff over here that I had on my debt payment. And then, I'll fill out the monthly spend. I won't fill out all these columns and everything. And I don't think I'm going to fill this out because I'm not really, like this, I'm not doing a true budget, so I'm not going to fill out this percentage. I was trying to fill it out, and without having like an actual budget to fill out, this looks funky. So that is how I'm going to kind of finish up December. So I wanted to show you kind of my savings from the year. So for Christmas, and this actually was more than $1,000, it was $1,378. So I still have some money left in here. There's a couple of things that I need to still get, and then I need to give my parents some money from stuff they bought. So that's why there's still money in this one. Then as part of the savings challenges, and I'm going to do this different too for next year. Again, I'll explain that in 2022's book. But the savings challenge for January, I saved $68. For February's challenge, I saved $55. It was supposed to be $218. That's just where I got to, and that's what I'm going with. That's better than nothing. April was $163, which I actually did some stuff from February, just added on. So I put it in the April envelope so I would know when I saved it. And then May, I did $68. And then this is the 52-week challenge. I'm just going to stop because I'm behind. And since we're like in the last few weeks of December, I didn't want to like push myself to try to save when I'm trying to pay some stuff off. So I'm going to just stop with what I've got so we can count that. 3, 4, 5. And I did exchange some of these out because you don't save this much, obviously, when you do that. You do it per week. But I changed some of this out so that I would have the bigger bills in here and the smaller bills, like, spendable. So there's 5, 6, 70, 80, 90. I think there's like a 10 in here. 100. So those are all hundreds. Okay, so then 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I ended up with 5, 6, 7, 8, 20. So I ended up with $820 in that challenge. So I'm excited about that because this, I think what I'm going to do with this, because I was kind of trying to decide how to deal with this, with all this cash that I saved. I think I'm going to move it into some of my sinking funds so that I have some money to start with for 2022 so that I'm not starting from dead zero. So I'll figure out how I'm going to take care of this in the 2022 video. I'll kind of figure out how I'm gonna like, I'll kind of go through how I'm going to divvy this up, because I may put some in one and some in another, like just to kind of get me started. I may end up just putting a bunch of it in one. We'll see how I decide to do that. But so I've got all of this, well, not that Christmas one, but all of these to kind of start with. I think that's how I'm going to do it, so that I have some money saved and I'm not like starting from scratch. The Christmas one, whatever I don't spend, if I have money left in here that I don't spend, then I will move that to the 2022 Christmas sinking fund, just so that I have some money already saved for that. I did want to talk about one other thing. I was using the friction pins. You can kind of tell in here that they're friction pins. One thing that I was noticing, and this page keeps coming out, I don't know why. One thing I was noticing when I was trying to write is sometimes the pen would skip. So I think it was more like over here. I was trying to find a good example of where it skipped some. And now I can't find it, of course. Anyway, in trying to use the pen, or the pens, because it happened with multiples, they kept like skipping. So I would have to like stop writing, go over to a sheet. You can kind of see it here where it gets lighter and then it gets darker again. It's because it was starting to write kind of light. So I'd have to go over and like scribble on something. I got really annoyed with that, because there was a couple of months when I had gotten behind on tracking that I would like do a bunch at one time. You can see it here. I would do a ton at one time, and it got really annoying to keep having to stop and like figure out why the pen wasn't writing. And it always had ink in it. It wasn't that it was running out of ink. It like got an air bubble or something. So I got really annoyed with it. So for December and the end of November, I tried some new pens. So you can kind of see how the writing looks here with the different, the 21,000 is written with a friction pen, and then the other is written with my new pens. So I think I'm going to switch to these for 2022, just because I'm tired of having them skip. If I make a mistake, I can always use whiteout. Like, I love the idea of the friction pens. They've been getting on my nerves. So I'm tired of having to stop what I'm doing or get frustrated with what I'm doing because they're not writing. So that is the plan for that. These are the pens that I'm going to use. So these are the Uniball ones. They're 0.38, so you can see kind of how they write. They're a little bit thinner than the frictions as well. The frictions were a 0.5, I believe, or a 0.7. I can't remember. I think they're 0.5s. And there's 8 colors in here, which is plenty for budgeting. We've got a black, a blue, like a cyan color, a green, an orange, a red, a pink, and like a blue-black. So, which is fine, because typically I use black, blue, green, and red. And then occasionally I'll use a different color to write in like the interest rates for stuff and that kind of thing. So I think those will work great for next year. So like I said, I was just kind of playing around with it with November and December, and I love them. I love the way they write. So I'm going to be using those going forward.
All right, so that was my budget setup for December of 2021, the last month in my 2021 Budget by Paycheck workbook. I will link the workbook below. The new version for 2022 is already out. It's undated, so you could use it anytime. You don't have to use it for 2022, or you could start using it in 2021 and then just flip back to January and start using it for 2022. So she sets it up that way so you can start it at any time. I love the full-size version because I like having all the space to write, but there's also a box set that each individual booklet is approximately an A5 size. I think it's a little bit different than A5, but not much. I've seen people take those apart and put them in a disc system, like I've done with my full-size. So you could obviously do that as well, but she does the box set to be more portable because the full-size version is a little chunky. and thick. So you don't want to be carrying that puppy around. It's pretty heavy. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the December setup. We'll talk about the 2021 overall picture in another video, and then we'll also work through the setup for 2022, like the annual pages, and probably talk about January a little bit too. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're new here, please be sure to subscribe so you know when new content is uploaded. And if you did like the video, give me a thumbs up. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.